and maybe somebody with headphones and dance moves. And there we see somebody in a corner um, doing postures that we immediately recognize as yoga. So, what makes it so? What makes yoga yoga? So, when I think about this question, I want to make sure that we're using yoga. We're using yoga in this context in a very specific way. Yoga is very broad. You can imagine that tip of the iceberg analogy. There's a lot of other subjects where that counts for as well. But when we think yoga, we tend to think about postures. But in other lectures, we'll discuss the 8-limb path. We have yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. I'm not going to go into that, but asana, postures, is just 1/8 of these steps. So when we say what is yoga, we could think about all these other aspects of yoga, all these other layers of yoga as well. But because this is our introduction to posture mechanics, when I ask this question, what is yoga, I'm specifically referring to posture, hatha yoga, when we do a posture and use our body to move in a specific way. So we'll touch on the other realms of yoga in, as I said, in other lectures as well. But I'd like you to take a moment to think about that question, right? When you think about that person in the park versus all the other people and what they're doing, what makes it yoga? What makes it different from other physical activities that we can do? So I'd like you to pause the recording, get your notebook, and write down what bubbles up in your head right now. And you can't do this necessarily incorrectly. Just what do you associate with that question? So take a few moments for that, pause the recording, and take some time to think about that question. What makes yoga yoga? What is yoga to you? And what makes it different from other physical activities? When we discuss this in a group, often different things come up. Very often people mention yoga is broader than just a physical. Even though I'm doing physical exercises in a way, I feel in my practice that there's so much more involved, right? Very often people feel it's a mind practice as well. A lot of people call our class a 90 or 60 or 75-minute moving meditation, because you're so focused on what you're doing in this class, so focused on not falling out of a posture and on the alignment, on the words that the teacher is telling you, that there is very little space for any other thoughts, and that makes it a meditation. So people say it's really working on the mind. And what a lot of people feel is that maybe you come in to heal a knee injury or to lose some weight, or whatever other physical goals we might have. A lot of us stay with the practice because we can feel it in other aspects of our lives as well. When I started this practice, I had a full-time job on a computer, and I was really proud back then. I called myself a really good multitasker. Because the kind of work I had was supporting a lot of other people in different projects. And I was still young. My brain was supposed to work pretty well, I think, but I needed Post-its on my computer screen to remind myself of the tasks I needed to do. And I was doing so many different things at once that sometimes I was on the phone with someone, I would hang up and I wouldn't remember who I had just talked to or what it was about, because I was probably also writing an email, thinking about the next meeting I was going to have, and brainstorming ideas for another project. That's what we call multitasking. But what it really is that we're doing 100 different things not well. And what yoga meditation teaches is to be so focused with our mind on one thing that we're doing that really well. And there's very little space in our head for everything else. So what I started to notice in my job, once I started to practice every single day this class, that the Post-its on my computer screen started to disappear. And that focus that I had in the classroom, I was bringing it in other elements of my life as well. And people around me started to notice that too, more present, more focused. And you probably experience that as well, and the people around you as well. So that is one of the ways that we can feel when yoga is a little bit more than just a physical activity, even when we're focusing on the physical aspect. And another way, you might have heard that the word yoga originates from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to yoke or to unite. So what are we yoking and uniting, right? We're yoking, uniting that physical aspect with the mind, maybe the spirit. It's all a practice about you, but it's a practice that touches on your physical body, your mind, your spirit, your soul. And in yoga terms, in Sanskrit, in yoga philosophy, they call it the different layers to the self, and they call it the 5 koshas.